In golf, par is the predetermined number of strokes that a scratch golfer should require to complete a hole, a round, or a tournament. Pars are the central component of stroke play, the most common kind of play in professional golf tournaments. The term is also used in golf-like sports such as disc golf with the same meaning. The length of each hole from the tee placement to the pin determines par values for each hole primarily but not exclusively. Almost invariably, holes are assigned par values between 3 and 5 strokes. For a casual player from the middle tees, a par 3 hole will be 100 €250 yards from the tee to the pin. Par 4 holes are 250 €470 yards, although tournament players will often encounter par 4 holes 500 yards or more, as it is not uncommon for short par 5 holes for normal play to be turned into par 4 holes in championship play. Par 5 holes are typically 470 €600 yards, but in the modern game holes of over 600 yards are becoming more common in championship play. Other relevant factors in setting the par for the hole include the terrain and obstacles that may require a golfer to take more shots. Some golf courses feature par 6s and, very rarely, par 7s, although the latter are not recognized by the United States Golf Association. Typical championship golf courses have par values of 72, comprising 4 par 3s, 10 par 4s, and 4 par 5s. Championship course par can be as high as 73 to as low as 69. Most 18-hole courses not designed for championships have a par close to 72, though some will be lower. Courses with par above 73 are rare. Courses built on relatively small parcels of land will often be designed as par 3 courses, in which every hole is a par 3. Course and tournament scores: a golfer's score is compared with the par score. If a course has a par of 72 and a golfer takes 75 strokes to complete the course, the reported score is +3, or 3 over par, taking 3 shots more than par to complete the course. If a golfer takes 70 strokes, their reported score is a €2, or 2 under par. Tournament scores are reported by totaling scores relative to par in each round. If each of the 4 rounds has a par of 72, the tournament par would be 288. For example, a golfer could record a 70 in the first round, a 72 in the second round, a 73 in the third round, and a 69 in the fourth round. This would give a tournament score of 284, or 4 under par. Hole scores: scores on each hole are reported in the same way that course scores are given. Names are commonly given to scores on holes relative to par. Bogey: bogey means scoring 1 over par. Going round in bogey originally meant an overall par score, starting at the Great Yarmouth Golf Club in 1890, and based on the phrase bogeyman, and a popular music hall song Here Comes the Bogeyman. Nationally, players competed against Colonel Bogey, and this gave the title to a 1914 marching tune, Colonel Bogey March. As golf became more standardized in the United States, par scores were tightened and recreational golfers found themselves scoring over par, with bogey changing meaning to 1 over par. Bogeys are relatively common, even in professional play. It is considered somewhat noteworthy if a player manages to complete a bogey-free round, and they are very common for many casual and club players. More than 1 shot over par is known as a double bogey, triple bogey, and so on. However, it is more common to hear higher scores referred to simply by the number of strokes rather than by name. For example, a player having taken 8 shots to negotiate a par 3, would be far more likely to refer to it as an 8, or being 5 over par, rather than a quintuple bogey. Double bogeys and worse scores are uncommon for top performers in professional play. Par means scoring even. The golfer has taken as many strokes as the hole's par number. In theory, pars are achieved by 2 putts, with the remaining shots being used to reach the green. For example, on a par 5 hole, a player would be expected to take 3 shots to reach the green and 2 shots to putt the ball into the hole. Par derives its name from the Latin for equal. Birdie means scoring 1 under par. This expression was coined in 1899, at the Atlantic City Country Club in Northfield, New Jersey. It seems that one day in 1899, Three golfers George Crump, William Pulteney Smith, and his brother Ab Smith were playing together when Crump hit his second shot only inches from the cup on a par 4 hole after his first shot had struck a bird in flight. Simultaneously, the Smith brothers exclaimed that Crump's shot was a bird. Crump's short putt left him 1 under par for the hole, and from that day the three of them referred to such a score as a birdie. In short order, the entire membership of the club began using the term. As the Atlantic City Country Club, being a resort, had many out-of-town visitors, the expression spread and caught the fancy of all American golfers. The perfect round is most commonly described as scoring a birdie on all 18 holes, although no player has ever recorded a perfect round in a professional tournament. During the 2009 ABC Canadian Open, Mark Calcavecchia scored 9 consecutive birdies at the second round, breaking the PGA Tour record. Eagle. Eagle means scoring 2 under par. Eagles usually occur when golfers hit the ball far enough to reach the green with fewer strokes than expected. This most commonly happens on par 5s, though it occasionally occurs on short par 4s. A hole-in-one on a par 3 hole also results in an eagle. The name eagle was used as a large bird representing a better score than a birdie. Albatross. Albatross means scoring 3 under par. Also called a double eagle in the U.S. This is an extremely rare score, and occurs most commonly on par 5s with a strong drive and a hold approach shot. Holes-in-one on par 4 holes are also albatrosses. The first famous albatross was made by Gene Sarazen in 1935 on the 15th hole at Augusta National Golf Club during the final round of the Masters tournament. It vaulted him into a tie for first place and forced a playoff, which he won the next day. The sports writers of the day termed it the shot heard round the world. Albatrosses are much rarer than par 3 holes-in-one. The odds are estimated at 1 in 1 million. The odds of a hole-in-one is around 1 in 3,700 to 1 in 12,500, depending on the hole and on skill. Between 1970 and 2003, 84 such shots were recorded on the PGA Tour. Recent well-publicized albatrosses include those by Joey Sandila at the 2006 PGA Championship, only the third in that competition's history, Miguel Angel Jimmer copyright Neswell defending his BMW PGA Championship title in 2009, Paul Lawrie in the final round of the 2009 Open Championship, Sean Michel on the final day of the 2010 US Open, only the second ever in that competition, Padraig Harrington in the 2010 WGC HSBC Champions, and Louis Oosthuizen on the final day of the 2012 Masters Tournament, the fourth in that competition's history and the first to be televised, and the first on Augusta's par 5 second hole. Condor. Condor means scoring 4 under par. This is the lowest individual hole score ever made. A condor would be a hole-in-one on a par 5 or a 2 on a par 6. Par 6s are exceptionally rare. As of October 2008, a condor had been recorded only 4 times, only once on a straight drive rather than cutting a dog leg, and never during a professional tournament. One condor was even achieved with a 3-iron club. A condor is also known as a double albatross, or a triple eagle, and this convention can in principle be extended to name other hypothetical scores such as 5 under par. References